G'day YouTube, warbles on a lot here. I'm going to make a video about grass pirates and how to deal with them. As you can see, I'm standing in a railway easement. This here is the part that my mother does not lease. However, people who come in to the railway easement have been making a bit of a habit during the drought of coming in for some midnight adjustment through these old fences. So a couple of months ago, the gendarmes were invited and the gendarmes supplied some no trespassing signs. The gendarmes came up and took notice and photographs of the evidence of the midnight adjustment from species Equus. Horsies. Because somebody obviously felt that this grass on the other side of the fence was free for the taking. Grass pirates, you see. They get too many animals on too small a block of ground, and then when they don't get an absolute roaring wet season, they don't grow enough pasture to feed their animals, and then they get a little bit short of cash and they don't want to buy cash and they can't be bothered adjusting their animals out somewhere else. So they just cut a hole in the fence and install a gate. So at the same time I installed the no trespassing signs on the gate on the other side of the easement, a pair of signs were installed on the gate. And I left the gate tie wired, and I got all of these rocks that were dug out of the holes, and I put the rocks across the bottom of the gate to make sure there was no temptation to open up the gate and conduct more midnight adjustment on the little old lady's patch of lease land, which is in fact being paid for and adjusted out to another farmer entirely. So this grass actually does belong to somebody, a grazier. Somebody's paying the lease to the railways, and somebody is then paying the adjustment to the leaseholder. So this is actually, capitalistically title deeded owned grass. Stealing it does get the police involved. But what I'm going to do here today is connect up the ends of the old original fence on either side and ensure that no matter what the temptation, my flimsy little tie wires will not be undone in the middle of the night, and we'll leave the rocks out of the picture. So for the purpose, we have high tensile wire, we have fencing strainers, we have pliers, and we have veteran barbed wire. And we run barbed wire. Okay, so we have a barb, we have a high tensile, we have a barb, we have a high tensile, we have another barb. That, I think, should keep the grass pirates at bay. Doesn't stop them from opening the gate, just stops them from going through the gate. Because if you can't afford the land on which to graze your animals, you should destock. You should not try to steal the grass on the other side of the fence. Being a wannabe does not make you a grazier. Being a grass pirate makes you a pain in the ass for everybody who has to live around you. That's what it makes you. And then up here, where I installed yet another one of the no trespassing signs issued from the police, we have a spot where some scumbag grass pirate has opened that up, apparently so they could come through here. And the story is they were bringing moo cows. That being a piece of moo cow shit, which the cognoscienti is completely different from horse turds. And having grazed their own patch of lease land flat down to the bones. They've apparently set their sights on Bardwell's patch of lease railway easement, and to get into Bardwell past the lock on the gate, that arsehole's cut this fence and then come in and cut this fence. And this fence belongs to the railway, and technically I'm supposed to leave it here for the railway to fix. But when I discovered it on the day of the hanging of the signs, I used a bit of tie wire and the old carcass of the previous gate just to sort of heal the great gaping hole there. Now that I'm here with wire and strainers and pliers, I figure I might as well fix this one too, because it can't hurt. Okay, done. Just a bit of a rough tie. Yeah, not because I have to, but because it kind of looks a little bit untidy. I proposes to closes this. By way of this kind of unorthodox leverage method, likey so. Voila. Fuck the grass pirates. And we'll close that bloody hole down the bottom as well. Okay. That's that fixed. Not what I particularly wanted to be doing with Boxing Day, but, you know, sometimes the little old mother just has to be helped. And yeah, that's really the only answer to grass pirates. Call the police, mount the signs. As soon as they pull the signs down, fence the bastards out. And if that means that what they're left with, interrupt for a bit of a segue here. Earlier on I showed you cow shit. These are horse turds. Although that one over there, that might be a cow splat. But they're definitely horse turds. From a horse that's apparently being fed dry hay. Very definitely a turd horse. And if the owner of the horses had not chosen the road of the grass pirate, if they hadn't gone to the trouble and expense of buying a gate, getting strainer posts, installing a gate, then they would not now be in possession of an ornamental gate that leads nowhere. Wonder how much fodder they could have bought for the cost of a gate, 2 strainer posts, a couple of stays, and the labour of putting it all together. To say nothing of the ongoing damage they've done to their own reputation by having labelled themselves a thieving, sleazy, low-handed, underhand grass pirate. Sort of person you can't trust with anything that's not actually nailed down. Sort of person whose house looks really neat from the road when you look at it across the back fence. They're living in a fucking rubbish heap. And people say my place looks like a dump. Here endeth the lesson as to why it's a bad idea to steal my mother's grass, thinking she won't notice because she's a little old lady. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.